travel, Jesus entered the village. A woman by the name of Martha welcomed him and made him feel quite at home. She had a sister, Mary, who sat before the master, hanging on every word he said. But Martha was pulled away by all she had to do in the kitchen. Later, she stepped in, interrupting them. Master, don't you care that my sister has abandoned the kitchen to me? Tell her to lend me a hand. Master said, Martha, dear Martha, you're fussing far too much and getting yourself worked up over nothing. One thing only is essential, and Mary has chosen it. It's the main course and won't be taken from her. In our reading from Luke, at the word hospitality. And I think we've all been hospitality to a lot of people. So I looked it up in the dictionary. Hospitality, the friendly reception and treatment of guests. Martha demonstrated hospitality by welcoming Jesus into her home and sharing her home with her and sharing with her sister, that home that she shared with her sister Mary. She busied herself with the task of serving and preparing a meal. We've all been there. Meanwhile, Mary sits at Jesus' feet listening to his word. As a student at the feet of a rabbi, a role traditionally reserved for men. Some of us may cheer Mary. She's breaking the rules of this time period. Women in the kitchen, men, education, etc. And many may empathize with Martha. Resentment for her sister, leaving her to do all the work. Jesus' response to Martha seems less sympathetic, gently telling Martha her distraction, worry, and perfect hospitality are dragging her in a different direction. Short story. I always had Thanksgiving dinner at our house for the family, and people I don't even know that came. So when I first started, I've been doing this for 110 years. My husband. Okay. First Thanksgiving, bring out grandma's china, polish the silver, goblets, flowers on the table. Okay. Second year, maybe a little, maybe my own plates, silverware, etc. Third and fourth time, I'm getting tired. Thanksgiving dinner probably is the whole month of Thanksgiving because November, you have to go shop. You have a menu. You have people's guests to call or send out everything with invitations and everything. So it's a whole month of November I miss. Finally, towards the end, we got the good paper plates, the see-through plastic thick forks, the paper cups for coffee, and I lined all the food up on the counters and some on the stove. And people had to walk, not me running and serving. We need more potatoes, we need more salad. I enjoyed that dinner, but it took me that long to, and you know, I didn't get one complaint from my cousins, my relatives, like nobody. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I did linen napkins too in the beginning. So now it's paper napkins. I didn't get one complaint. I got to sit with my guests. In fact, they were happy because they didn't have to do the cleanup. Just throw everything in the garbage. Put the things in the containers and give them to the people. Take home. So I finally started enjoying my own Thanksgiving, my own, because I thought they wanted that beautiful silver and et cetera, et cetera. I think they just wanted to get together with a family that they haven't seen maybe all year. You know, and I'm kind of taking that. That's how I learned. But there's a different side to this. If I knew Jesus was coming with my aunt and uncle, I don't know if I would put a paper plate out there with a plastic fork. I don't think he would mind. I don't know my heart if I could do that, but that's something I don't have to worry about. There is no right or wrong. God didn't make everyone alike. There's Marys, and some days I'm a Martha, and some days I'm a Mary. I think all of us are like that. But there's always a but. I've got a couple buts here. But when to listen and when to be active relies on your yes. At this time, Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem. Jesus came to that home in Bethany. It was a great day for Martha, who was eager to celebrate by laying out the best she could give. She rushed and fussed and cooked in there. And that was precisely what Jesus did not want. All he wanted was quiet. With the cross before him, and from the demanding crowds that he encountered, he wanted to find an instant of calm, just for an hour or two. I don't want a big spread. One simple meal is all I need. It was simply that Mary understood, Martha did not. This may be one of our greatest difficulties in life. When to be active in serving God, or sit quietly and listen to his words. When we are trying to be kind, let's try to first look into the heart of the person. Forget about our own plans and think only of what he or she needs. When I visit, my husband and I used to visit New York every year, my sister-in-law. We drove. We love to drive because we're tired and we saw scenes and we stopped there. So after 2 days on the road, we come to her house and she's got the whole day planned. We're going to get back in the car. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you that. And I said, Shirley, it was 1 day of rest. You know, she wants to make us comfortable, wants to show us everything. And that's where I learned. So when guests come to my house to sleep over, let's have 1 day of quiet, sit on the porch, and then we'll discuss what you would like to see, and I give them suggestions. So I've learned that. But it is a difficult one to serve and when to just sit and rest. Jesus loved Martha, and Martha loved him. But when Martha set out to be kind, it was more her way than his. He was crying out for just rest. Jesus loved Mary, and Mary loved him. But Mary understood. In our culture of hectic overwork loads, tempted to measure our worth by how busy we are, how much we accomplish, or by what or how well we meet others' expectations. Many people can identify with Martha, feeling pulled in different directions, feeling worried and distracted by many things. Seems to be common thread of our life in our fast-paced world today. As Jesus says in Luke chapter 12, verse 25, can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? We know worrying does no good for our health, mental or physical health, but it is hard to let go. We want to provide for our families, give our children and grandchildren every opportunity to enrich their lives. And we want to serve our neighbors. And yes, also serve God. Where would our church be without Martha? There's a lot of Marthas in here. faithful people who perform many tasks of hospitality, service, a well-maintained church building, both listening and doing, receiving God's word and serving others are vital. But knowing when to stop and rest and breathe deeply and be nourished by God's word. We know Jesus invites all of us who worry and are distracted by many things to sit and rest in his presence, to hear his words of grace and truth, to know we are loved and valued as children of God, to be renewed in faith and strengthened for his service. As I said before, there are no right or wrong in serving God, just to understand what our guests need. I found a little poem, and this woman's name is Elizabeth Rebecca Ward. She wrote quite a few books, and she was born in 1880 and died in 1978, English writer, and she went by the pen name of Faye Inch. And I like this little poem so much that I made copies for everybody. I'm not gonna, I made copies and stick them in the refrigerator. All right, this is what Faye said. Lord of all pots and pans and things, since I've no time to be a saint by doing lovely things, or watching late TV, or dreaming in the dawn light, or storming heaven's gates. Make me a saint by getting meals and washing on the plates. Amen.